with a recap of what was day 3 in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Once again, the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, was on the stand, and her testimony was both graphic and disturbing.
Obtained by CNN appears to show the music mogul assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, at a hotel in 2016. In the video, Combs can be seen striking and kicking Ventura as she tried to leave. I have the video right in front of me.
She stepped into that silent courtroom carrying not just her unborn child, but a decade of buried horrors no one was prepared to hear. The music mogul who'd ruled an empire for 3 decades sat just feet away, his face a mask of confidence that would soon crumble into terror. What Cassie Ventura revealed next didn't just shock the jury. It exposed a sickening web of abuse that threatens to destroy one of entertainment's most powerful men forever. You deserve to know what really happened. I'm working hard to build this channel, and I'd truly love your help. Why not hit subscribe and be part of this journey? The Southern District Courthouse in Manhattan hummed with electric tension that morning. Outside, a bitter wind whipped across protest signs while reporters jostled for position, cameras flashing like lightning before a storm. Women's rights activists raised bold red banners proclaiming "Justice for Cassie," while a small but vocal group of Diddy supporters chanted in defiance. At precisely 10:12 a.m., Cassie Ventura, known to millions simply as Cassie, took her place on the witness stand. Nearly 9 months pregnant, she wore a simple brown dress, her face bare of heavy makeup, eyes burning with quiet determination. Behind her sat her husband, fitness trainer Alex Fine, his steady gaze a beacon cutting through the courtroom's shadows. Across the room, Sean Diddy Combs strode in flanked by elite attorneys, his presence radiating the arrogant confidence of a man who'd spent decades feeling untouchable. His signature swagger filled the room, the same charismatic energy that had built Bad Boy Records into an empire and expanded his reign across fashion and media. The contrast couldn't have been starker. A pregnant woman trembling yet resolute, facing the titan who'd controlled her life for a decade. As she placed her hand gently on her belly,
live from the Southern District Court in New York, Manhattan woke to a tense, electric atmosphere this morning. A biting wind swept across the steps of the Southern District Courthouse, where a swelling crowd gathered in breathless anticipation. Reporters jostled for position, cameras flashing like a storm about to break. Women's rights activists held aloft bold red banners proclaiming "Justice for Cassie." Meanwhile, a small but vocal group of Diddy supporters chanted, "They're slandering our king." One banner, caught by a gust of wind, fell to the ground, revealing a handwritten message: "The truth will prevail."
The courtroom fell so silent you could hear the whisper of papers being shuffled. Not a cough, not a murmur. Every soul in that room seemed to hold their breath. "How old are you?" began the prosecutor. 38, Cassie answered, her voice soft but steady. "What is your work?" "Musician and entertainer." "How long were you with Sean?" A pause, heavy with unspoken pain. 10 years. 10 years. A decade trapped in what she would soon describe as a living hell. But the hotel surveillance video the world had already seen, showing Diddy dragging and kicking her in a corridor, was just the beginning of what would become the most devastating day for Diddy's defense. The words seemed to hang in the air, alien and disturbing. Freak-offs. The prosecutor's question had been simple. What did that entail? Cassie's answer stripped away the glamorous facade of music industry parties, revealing something far more sinister. Just 6 months after signing with Bad Boy Records at age 19, she was dragged into Diddy's twisted underworld of sexual exploitation. These weren't consensual encounters. They were marathon sessions lasting 36 to 96 hours, sometimes 4 relentless days without escape. "It wasn't something I wanted to do," she testified, voice hollow with remembered trauma. "At least not that frequently."
How is your client? She's doing well. She had a restful night. She's ready for cross-examination, and we're very confident that she's going to do perfectly. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Most disturbing was Cassie's revelation of forced drug use. C, HB, Special K, and mushrooms to keep her awake and compliant through these endless sessions. "I vomited from ecstasy," she testified. "HB made my heart race. I hated it." Sometimes Diddy watched via FaceTime, controlling the scene remotely like a puppet master. "I felt disgusted," she confessed, hands instinctively cradling her pregnant belly. Too much in my mouth? I was choking. The breaking point came in Las Vegas in 2010. High in ecstasy, Cassie lay on a hotel floor as Diddy and an escort stood over her, urinating in her face. I was gagging, she sobbed. I felt filthy, worthless. But if I refused, he'd beat me. These weren't just occasional events. They were systematic control tactics that concealed an even more sinister threat lurking behind Diddy's empire. Did you want to stop? The prosecutor asked. Yes, I was humiliated. I didn't have those words then. I couldn't talk to anyone about it. Did you tell him you didn't want to? Yes. Why did you feel you couldn't say no? Cassie's voice dropped to a whisper.
Everyone was leaning in and focusing and watching this video. Literally, you can hear a pin drop in that courtroom.
The panel of jurors began with gentle questions, as if to steady Cassie before plunging into the heart-wrenching details that lay ahead.
How old are you?
38.
What is your work?
Musician and entertainer.
How long were you with Sean?
10 years.
10 years, a decade trapped in a living hell. In 2006, Cassie, a 19...
I didn't want to make him angry or upset after he'd shared this part of himself with me. But there was a darker reason for her silence, one that sent a visible chill through the courtroom. Diddy recorded these encounters, every degrading moment, every forced act, captured on video and weaponized as blackmail to ensure her obedience and silence. A 2010 email projected onto the courtroom screen showed Cassie pleading to stop the freak-offs. Diddy's response was a chilling threat. He'd leak the videos online, destroying her career and exposing her to worldwide humiliation. I deleted them from my devices, she testified, disgust coloring her words. They were vile.
She said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on to the lighting in the room to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having.
Yet for years, she lived in constant dread, never knowing if Diddy still possessed those damning files and could release them at any moment. The prosecution presented text messages where Diddy alternated between apologies and threats, contrite about brutal beatings in one breath, threatening to torch her career in the next.
Let me show you a video. Where is this?
The Intercontinental in Los Angeles. It was after a freak-off.
What does that entail?
The hiring of an escort, setting it up.
How did you feel when he first asked for it?
Confused, nervous. I wanted to make him happy.
Did you agree to one when he first proposed it?
Yes. Then there were more. It wasn't something I wanted to do, at least not that frequently.
One message revealed a staggering $2 million offer for a clean break, essentially a bribe to bury the past. Most damning were messages from industry insiders, A-list stars, expressing horror at what they'd witnessed. Their words shattered Diddy's public claims that no one ever saw him do wrong, exposing the complicit silence of an industry that protected its king. In the gallery,
Combs suggested hiring an escort to have sex with her while he watched. My stomach churned, Ventura said. I was confused, nervous, but also loved him very much and wanted to make him happy.
Veteran reporters sat frozen, pens hovering above notepads. One female juror covered her mouth, stifling a gasp as Cassie described how Diddy threatened her family too, vowing retribution if she spoke out. He said my mother would disappear, she testified, her voice breaking with remembered terror. While the recordings kept her silent for years, it was the physical violence that nearly cost Cassie her life on more than one occasion. The grainy surveillance footage from 2016 played on courtroom screens, showing Diddy dragging Cassie down the Intercontinental Hotel corridor. Her body looked limp, her resistance faded after what she described as hours of abuse. "Where is this?" asked the prosecutor. "The Intercontinental," Cassie answered, her voice newly steady, as if drawing strength from finally speaking her truth. "That was the night I tried to escape. I reached for the hotel phone. He ripped it away, took my bag, everything." The photos she took afterward appeared next. Raw, desperate images of bruises spreading across her skin and a torn lip. Two male jurors turned away, unable to face the reality staring back from the courtroom screens. "I took them because I was afraid no one would believe me," she explained, but the Four Seasons incident from 2012 painted an even more terrifying picture of captivity. What began as an industry after-party spiraled into a 48-hour imprisonment when Diddy's rage ignited because Cassie had spoken to another music executive. She described him grabbing her arm with bruising force, hissing threats in her ear while maintaining his charming facade for the crowd.
Did you want to stop?
Yes, I was humiliated. I didn't have those words then. I couldn't talk to anyone about it.
Did you tell him you didn't want to?
Yes.
Why did you feel you couldn't say no?
I didn't want to make him angry or upset after he'd shared this part of himself with me.
Flipped, the room torn apart by his fury. For over 2 days, she remained a prisoner. Her phone confiscated, her freedom stolen, threats ringing in her ears if she called for help. "I thought I was going to die that night," she whispered, her voice so soft the courtroom leaned forward to catch her words.
Did you get in arguments?
Yes, it would result in dragging.
What else did he do?
Me in the head if I was down.
How frequently was he?
Too frequently. I would get black eyes and...
Hospital records under a false name were produced as evidence, along with flight logs tying Diddy to the infamous hotel stays. Each piece formed a damning web of corroboration. As devastating as the video evidence was, it was the text messages from A-list celebrities that sent shockwaves through the courtroom and would ultimately begin the collapse of Diddy's carefully constructed empire. At the defendant's table, Diddy sat rigid, fingers clenched around a water glass. The swagger he'd strutted in with that morning had vanished, obliterated within 30 minutes of Cassie's testimony. He fumbled with his tie, his cufflinks, scribbled frantic notes to his lawyers. But mostly, his eyes locked onto Cassie with a piercing glare that seemed to burn through her. She never met his gaze, not once, as if his presence was a shadow she refused to acknowledge. When Cassie unveiled her arsenal of evidence, Diddy's shock was palpable. He clearly had no idea she'd been safeguarding these secrets for years. Messages from his inner circle, big-name friends and business partners, confirmed they'd witnessed his dark side at private gatherings. One text from producer Dallas Austin pleaded for Cassie's safety after witnessing a particularly brutal incident. The prosecutor displayed photos of Diddy's loyal lieutenants, security drivers, a former chief of staff, a financial handler, and outlined their roles in maintaining his web of control. As 7 photos flashed on screen, Diddy's composure finally shattered. He shot to his feet, fury erupting as he roared, "This is a lie! She's trying to destroy me!" His lawyer scrambled, yanking him back to his seat, but Diddy continued shouting, railing about betrayal until court officers had to escort him out, leaving the courtroom in momentary chaos. Behind him, his daughters seated near the defense fled in tears, unable to stomach the horrific details of their father's alleged crimes. Diddy's legal team, led by the sharp-tongued Tenny Garagos, fought desperately to regain control. They portrayed the 2016 video as merely showing jealousy, not sex trafficking, and painted Cassie as a willing participant in Diddy's lavish lifestyle, driven by greed as evidenced by the $20 million civil settlement she'd secured. They hammered at her drug use, questioning her memory's reliability, and pointed to date discrepancies in her testimony. When they called a former assistant of Cassie's to the stand, prosecutors quickly exposed that the witness had received payments from Diddy, effectively neutralizing their strategy. With his reputation in ruins, the question isn't just about prison time. It's about which of his celebrity accomplices might fall next as investigators continue to unravel the threads of his alleged criminal enterprise. Still here? That means this story matters to you too. If you haven't yet, please tap subscribe. It would mean the world to me as we uncover even more. Cassie's testimony stretched beyond 4 grueling hours, punctuated by pauses as her pregnancy weighed on her. Tears streamed down her face as she spoke of the misguided love she once poured into Diddy, the man she called Pop Pop, who nicknamed her CC. "I did it to make him happy," she said, her voice breaking with raw emotion. Now nearing 40, she looked back on her younger self, trapped, powerless, a girl stripped of control. "I thought I'd never escape," she confessed, "but today, I'm done staying silent." As Cassie stepped down from the witness stand, supported by her husband Alex, her eyes were weary but free of fear. Gone was the naive 19-year-old who'd entered Diddy's world. Today she's a wife, a mother expecting her 3rd child, living a quiet life away from the spotlight that once seemed to promise her everything. The Cassie of 2025 is far removed from the Cassie of 2006, a rising R&B star, once compared to Ciara and Rihanna. Her debut album produced by Ryan Leslie cracked the top 20, but then nothing followed. "I kept waiting," she said in her testimony, But the freak-offs held my career hostage. A 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records yielded just one release before Cassie faded from view. Beyond the courtroom, social media erupted with hashtags like Chine Cassie Speaks and Khan Diddy Trial trending worldwide. Artists like Kehlani demanded the music industry take accountability, while rumors swirled about others allegedly tied to the freak-offs, though no concrete evidence has emerged connecting other celebrities. In the courthouse, Diddy's once loyal entourage began slipping away as the evidence mounted. The man who'd ruled an empire now sat nearly alone, just him and his lawyers against a tidal wave of truth. His legacy, built over 3 decades, unraveled with every word Cassie spoke. The story of Cassie and Diddy serves as a stark warning that not every relationship draped in glamour is true love. When power twists to control and suffocate another, it ceases to be love and becomes oppression. Cassie made the courageous choice to step out of the shadows and speak her truth, not just for herself, but for thousands of silent victims still trapped in similar situations. The music mogul who once called himself king now faces a future that could see him locked away for life, all because of what Cassie revealed on day 3 of a trial that may forever change how we view the intersection of power, fame, and exploitation in the entertainment industry.